You gonna come sit down?
Did I do it?
You did.
Is it ready?
This is why you don't hit the button.
I got it.
Anyway, so...
Hello, Internet!
We're back with the Southlands Heroes supplement for... this is by Kobold Press again, still running you about $5 on the Dungeon Master Guild. You can also find it on Drive-Thru RPG. This is, again, part of their kind of homebrew universe. You had Midgard in the last one. This is Southlands. You're going to have a bunch of different races. Some have class-specific options. They have a lot of alternate features where you can replace one thing with another thing. So while again, there will be backgrounds as well, which we'll briefly glance over. Yeah. But we'll jump in. First is the aasimar. It's the same aasimar as in the Dungeon Master Guide.
What?
Nothing.
I didn't blow it at you, I blew it that way.
It doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? Yes, it does!
No, it doesn't, because I can still smell it.
Well, I still blew it that way. What does it smell like?
Disgusting.
And Christmas.
No, it's
I had a cookie.
I think.
What were you saying? Aasimar. Yeah, it's just like the one in the Dungeon Master's Guide, except...
Yeah, there are variants where you can replace all sorts of different features for the aasimar with a new feature. And a lot of they make sense depending because you are from angelic origin. Like this first one here, Airy Spirit. You gain gaseous form once it's a 3rd level spell when you finish once a day instead of the ability to cast daylight. A lot of these could be combined together if they make sense. Probably the best one, depending on the scenario that you're in, is you're raised on a fiery plane as a fire godling, so you replace your radiant and necrotic resistance with fire resistance. Probably the most useful aside from poison resistance for the most amount of damage done to things that things do for the monster manual. Yeah. Give up your dark vision and the ability to cast daylight to get blind sight out to 10 feet. Give up lesser restoration and daylight for guiding bolt once a day. And then give up lesser restoration and daylight to be able to cast enhance ability on yourself. At 3rd level, it gives you Eagle Splendor to range on yourself without concentration, and when you hit 5th level, it lets you do Eagle Splendor and Owl's Wisdom without concentration, but a shining halo or nimbus forms around your head while they're in effect, revealing your divine nature. So you have advantage on all wisdom checks and dex checks for the length of enhanceability without concentration. So that counts for all of your skills. So all dex and wisdom skills you have advantage on, which is powerful. Yeah. But if you wanted to give yourself advantage on stealth by giving this, you have a shiny white halo around your head, so it's not going to work.
Not going to help.
What do you think?
I like it. I like the options.
I wish there were more things. This is something big in 3.5 for classes. Choose a class feature and replace that class's feature with something else. This is the first time we've ever seen sort of anything like that. And I can't say that with complete certainty because I haven't seen every single thing that's available on the Dungeon Masters Guild, which is hundreds of things that people are putting out new stuff all the time. They're updating it all the time. But this is the first one that I was aware of. Next up is Gnoll, the hyena people. They were always an option for a player character type race in previous editions in the Monster Manual. This 5th edition getting away from monstrous races. This has kind of done that. Fairly similar. They also have 2 sub-races which give you the +1 to the additional stat. A lot of stuff is fairly similar. It's interesting, when they disengage, they get an extra 10 feet of movement, which is different. They're an animal, so they get better at scent. The big one though is this thing called Bully, which is a thing specific to this Gnoll character. Disadvantage on saving throws against being frightened. On the other hand, when you make a charisma intimidation check when dealing with something smaller or weaker than you, and you're considered proficient with intimidation even if you're not, and you basically have expertise in that, adding double to your proficiency check. This being the fact that you are a bully. Things that are bigger than you, you are afraid of, but you have you're accustomed to bullying things smaller than you, which is a cool concept. I like that.
I like it.
Then your sub-races are Civilized Gnoll, which
is an oxymoron, first off.
When you make a charisma persuasion check dealing with something obviously larger than you, you're considered proficient with it and have double your proficiency bonus in the persuasion. It's a neighbor dog.
There's a dog. I found it.
Yep. So this being kind of the opposite of being a bully is you are so like beseeching to something larger than you because you're afraid of it that you have advantage on persuasion rolls. The other one being a savage gnoll, which is you have when you make a survival check to look for food or water, you're considered proficient with survival and you have double the proficiency bonus. Both would make it's interesting to try to have like a charisma based gnoll character in my mind, but I guess it could work well as a paladin because you get a +2 to strength per the base.
Yeah.
So you have, and it does give you it gives you a +1 to constitution, which is an interesting thing. But you have all these advantage on your charisma based checks, or a ranger, I guess, because it's strength and wisdom, so it'd be an interesting mix.
Yeah.
Next up is probably my favorite for this one, which is the lizardfolk.
He loves the lizardfolk.
It's exactly what they are in the monster manual, lizard-based people. But what's interesting is the racial variants in this allow you to kind of choose the type of lizard that you are descended from, therefore giving you various options. Base lizard folk, same kind of stat bumps normally. You do have... I know. Calm down. Hey, come here. So that happens when the neighbors don't respect property boundaries. You have natural armor, so your AC is 12 plus your dex mod all the time, which basically makes you the equivalent of always wearing studded leather armor.
Yep.
Which is pretty solid depending on the scenario. I mean, it just gives you the need to not wear armor. However, then any magic leather or studded leather armor that you would find would be useless.
Yeah.
You have a bite attack, proficiency in stealth, and you can hold your breath up to minutes equal to your constitution score. Which is big.
Yeah.
But the cool things is where you get into the variants. So lizard folk have various racial variants, which is the first race in this book, but not the only one that has this.
No.
So first up, they have, you can be more of like a gecko or some sort of iguana or climbing lizard. Give up your swim speed and your hold breath for athletics, and double your proficiency bonus in that athletics when climbing. So pretty cool.
That's not
more. I feel like that's probably in most settings going to be more useful than swimming.
Yeah. Not a lot of underwater stuff happening in most games.
Depends. I mean, it's possible, but I would warrant that climbing things would be more useful.
Yeah, probably.
And athletics is solid, especially with double proficiency bonus. Yeah. Chromatophore is advantage on stealth checks. You're basically a chameleon. Again, give up swim speed and hold breath, and you can even attempt to hide while you're being observed because basically your skin is changing to match whatever you're up against rather than you just attempting to duck behind something.
Yeah.
Again, arguably more useful than both.
Yeah.
Give up your swim speed only to be a digging lizard to get a 10-foot burrow speed. I'm not exactly sure, because I haven't really read too much about it in this edition, how burrowed is handled. Like, does the cave, like the tunnel you make cave in behind you? Do you have to hold your breath if you can only burrow 10 feet at a time? How does that work?
Based solely on that, since you don't have to give up your hold breath, I assume you do have to hold your breath.
Okay, that's legit. I still think climbing beats that. What do you think? 10-foot burrow speed?
Yeah, probably.
You could be some sort of like winged, kind of the winged lizards, so you can get a fly speed of 40 feet, take no damage from falls ever again.
Yeah.
But you have to descend at least 1/4 of the distance you travel. This again, swim speed and hold breath. So you basically have to continue at a downward angle because you're gliding. You can't gain altitude.
So that's I think what I would go for.
Yeah. And again, there's nothing stopping you from giving up multiple things if they
don't stack.
If they don't stack and your DM allows it.
Yeah.
You could be a gout. You can get gout of blood, similar to a horned lizard, where they can shoot. There's little ducts and where their tears are, and they can shoot out gouts of blood at their enemy to kind of disorient them.
I didn't know that was a thing before this.
Yeah.
I learned the thing.
He's got a range of 15 feet, They need to make a wisdom saving throw against DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your dex mod. On a failed save, they are frightened. They can make a saving throw at the end of each of their turns. Creatures wearing any kind of facial protection have advantage on the save, and you can do this Constitution modifier times per day. Get it back on a long rest, replaces your bite. I would probably go for that over bite.
Yeah, probably.
This is probably my personal favorite, is regeneration. This you give up your natural armor and your natural predator, which is stealth proficiency.
Okay.
For whenever you spend at least 1 hit die to regain hit points during a short rest, you gain an additional number of hit points equal to twice your Constitution modifier.
Solid.
Not that this will come up often, but severed fingers and toes grow back after a day, hands and feet grow back after 3 days, and actual full severed limbs after a week. If the severed body part is present in whole, you can kind of hold it up during a short rest and spend a hit die and do nothing else to basically have it reattach. You gain 1 level of exhaustion when you begin regenerating this limb. While the limb is regenerating, as well as for 1 day after the regrowth, that you cannot have less than 1 level of exhaustion.
Makes sense. But it's cool.
I don't think it comes up often. I think probably the best use of any of those type of regeneration, reattaching limb things is an intimidation tactic.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna cut my own finger off, you know.
Think I'm scared of you? Ah! This is my thing, and you throw it in their stupid face.
And they're like, oh my god! And then you're just like, you're going.
Yeah. I guess you gotta go pick it up then, because you threw it in their face.
Yeah.
Go get that finger.
A poison bite. This replaces a lot of your stuff. Your bite, your natural armor, your swim speed, and your hold breath. You can now make a bite as an unarmed strike. On a successful attack, they make a Constitution saving throw, DC 8 plus your proficiency modifier plus Constitution. On a failed save, they are poisoned for a minute. On a successful save, when the poison ends, they become immune for 24 hours. It only gives the poison condition, though. It doesn't deal additional poison damage. You can use it Constitution modifier times per day. Not as good.
I don't think it's worth it, but...
Not for everything you give up for
Yeah.
it. And then purple-blooded, you replace your natural armor with resistance to gain advantage on saving throws against poison and disease.
Like it.
And then pygmy, you basically are a smaller lizard. You give up your normal stat boosts for +2 dex, +1 wisdom, and you become small size. That one's actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
Because you could make a badass ranger with a +2, or druid, +2 dex, +1 wisdom, and your small size, and all you gave up was your medium size.
Yeah.
So you could theoretically still have that bonus to your armor.
Mm-hmm.
You could give up something to get the stealth ability, which is a ranger, pretty solid. The regeneration as well.
Yeah.
You could give up the bite and get the blood. You could technically give up a lot of things and benefit a lot from that. So again,
a lot of utility.
Why lizard folk are my favorite.
A lot of utility in lizard folk.
And they have 1 class archetype, which is ambush predator, which is a version of the assassin rogue. Everything is considered the same for the assassin except for a few differences. You can you gain proficiency in the poisoner's kit. You can use cunning action to apply poison. This replaces the bonus proficiencies you would get. 9th level. If you don't, you can wait in a single spot with infinite patience. As long as you don't move, you have advantage on saving throw against falling asleep or succumbing to exhaustion. Or remaining stationary. You can undertake light activity for the duration. If you move or engage, you must rest as normal for the remainder of the long rest to complete. Basically, you can just stay completely still and not move for that long. Which again, if you take the stealth thing, the chromatophore, where you don't move and you stay, stealth,
and you have advantage
as long as you don't move, you could basically take the effects of the long rest hidden, camouflaged up against something.
Yep.
And then a sniper. If you're 10 feet away from a creature that could potentially hear or see you, whenever you make an attack, you can make a new dex check. and a creature that might detect you has advantage on the saving throw. So this is like after you attack.
Mm.
You don't automatically reveal your location when you're hidden.
That's cool.
Minotaurs in here again, so we'll just skip over that. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And there's this tosculi. Well, first off, lizardfolk. Thoughts?
Solid.
In general,
Yeah.
probably one of the best races.
Solid. I really
One
like
of the best races ever, I would say.
Yeah.
In a lot of respects, I'd say it rivals a half elf.
Yeah.
For what it does.
What it does, yeah.
Tosculi or hiveless. It's basically a hive mind bug guy.
Bug person.
So what do you get? First off,
you're hideous.
Because
you're
you are
a bug.
ugly. You are a bug.
Ugly as shit.
Big old mandibles and things. You do still walk upright. You do still have, humanoid-ish limbs. You get claw attack. You get natural armor. Your AC is 11 plus your dex. For a couple of proficiencies, and you get gliding wings. You can gain fly speed of 40 feet, but cannot cover. At the end of each round, you must have descended at least a quarter of what you traveled. You also get weird stat bumps, which I will read. One of your physical ability scores, strength, dex, or con, goes up by 2, and one of your mental ability scores, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, goes up by 2. And you also take you then also take a -2 penalty on one score.
Okay. So it's a +2 to 2 things and a -2 to 1 thing.
Correct. So you could theoretically take the plus and the minus in the same stat to just effectively get a +2 in one stat.
Okay.
Again, you can tweak things to, if you really want to tank charisma, you could get a +2 in 2 other stats.
Yeah.
And they also have variants. They have blinding spittle, out to 60 feet. You can basically make a constitution. You basically make an attack roll. They have to make a strength check to remove the condition as they're trying to pull the spittle off of their face. But during that, they are considered restrained.
Alright.
Anyone adjacent to the creature restrained by blinding spittle can use their action to pull it out, dealing an amount of bludgeoning damage equal to half your level plus your constitution modifier to the spittle, also frees the target.
Okay.
Can't do it again until short or long rest. This replaces your additional skill proficiencies. Your bite, instead of I think this gives up your proficiencies when you have a bite attack. You still have a claw attack. It does a D6 slashing at 11th level. It does 2d6. You have the latent hive mind because you are a bug. Gives up your wings. Message as a cantrip. This cantrip also functions in the silence spell because it's in your head.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
3rd level, you can cast Detect Thoughts once without the need for components and regain to do so on a long rest. Or you can get the Hardened Carapace, which gives up your natural armor and gliding wings. Your AC can never be less than 11 plus your Constitution modifier plus your Dex modifier.
That's solid.
So yeah, it's like an unarmored defense
Yeah.
for a barbarian. And they have 2 archetypes. They actually have 2 druid archetypes. They have the Circle of the Hive, which is a Circle of the Land variant, which replaces all of your spells with very bug-themed spells.
Yeah.
Spider Climb, Giant Insect, Insect Plague.
Web.
And then you get immunity to poison and disease, and you ignore restrictions based on webbing, rather than natural ward. And the Circle of the Moon variant gives you insectoid forms, which I feel like is not as good. You have limited choice of forms. You can use your wild shape to go into an arachnid, insectoid, or similar beast. You must have seen one to do so. Gain access to the following non-standard forms. Wait a minute, I misread that. Ankeg, Carrion Crawler, Death Wasp, which use a Wyvern stat, Giant Rhinoceros Beetle, use a Rhino stat, a Swarm of Insect of all variants, other insectoid variants depending on your DM's discretion, and Monstrous Wild Shape at 10th level. Instead of getting Elemental Wild Shape, give up 2 uses to transform into a Bullet, a Trool, a Phase Spider, or an Umber Hulk, which is way better that I did not realize at first, because an Umber Hulk is awesome for that charisma saving throw to make people just not do anything or attack their nearby enemies.
So yeah, that's solid.
And they also they have a ranger one as well, a Hivemaster, where you basically get an insect companion, as opposed to other things. I think everything else is still has to be less than a quarter, but because you're a hive mind insect and they're a hive mind insect, you can communicate telepathically with your insect companion while it's within 100 feet of you.
That's cool.
So you can issue them verbally or telepathically. So it's actually better than a standard beast because you can do that as a free action.
Yeah.
And you can choose from a giant crab, a blood hornet, a wasp, a giant centipede, a giant wolf spider, or a swarm of insects.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I actually have a little caveat bar at the bottom of page 9, all about rangers and animal companions, which is pretty interesting because it talks about basically a lot of the issues that are presented with ranger animal companions and potential ways to tweak that and dealing with friendships, that your animal companion is not just a weapon, they have other things, and it's an interesting read. And lastly is the werelion.
I got so disappointed by werelion.
Tell them.
So I've been bummed, not bummed, but bummed for a while because wisdom is, from all the races I've seen, there are options to get a +2 to every stat except wisdom. Unless you do variant human observant.
Or resilient.
Or resilient wisdom. Like,
yeah,
that's the only option. Whereas even in like the core book, you can get a +2 to every other stat. Strength with half or constitution. I'm not gonna, but you get a +2 in everything. Wisdom's the only thing you don't get a +2 in, which I think is weird because it's not so much better than every other stat that you shouldn't get a +2 in it. And I saw werelion, got super pumped because it gives you a +2 to wisdom. But I don't really like the other stuff it does.
Yeah, to key off of your point as well, it's not as if classes don't use wisdom. The main casting stat for clerics and druids is wisdom. Druids, it's probably the most important stat of all. And rangers also use wisdom. And
monks.
Everybody can, and monks as well.
Wisdom.
And every class can use it because wisdom saving throws are big.
Yeah.
Anything mind affecting is more often than not a wisdom saving
And perception is keyed off of wisdom, which is
Perception.
helpful for everyone.
Exactly. So the fact that there isn't one, but you can also look at a half elf, which gives a +2 to charisma, and then a +1 to 2 other stats.
Yeah.
But there is no race that gives a +2 wisdom.
Yeah.
I got excited when I saw Genasi at first. I thought maybe that would be it, but they're +2 to Constitution. Yes, the only way to really do it is to be a variant human, take a +1 to wisdom, and a feat that gives you a bump to wisdom.
Yeah.
So you're right. Gets a +2 to wisdom.
Yeah.
Gets dark vision. But then the other functions that it gets are like limited shape changer stuff. And there's a backstory here that it's a race and not an affliction. Like, whereas any race can become a werelion, a werebear, a werewolf, a wererat, a wereboar, a weretiger, per the monster manual's rules. So those are things that can be done. This is a race, not like a disease.
Yeah. If you've read the Aragon books, think werecats in that.
Yes, any of the Inheritance Cycle series. So you are a shape changer. You can naturally change your form. When you start, you can turn into like a hybrid, your typical were animal, where you're humanoid, or a lion, just a flat out lion.
But you're a young lion at first, which takes panther stats, which is a CR quarter monster, and then I think at level 11?
8.
At level 8, then you can wild shape into an actual lion. But you wild shape as per the druid rules, but you don't gain the extra hit points. You keep your hit points.
As an action, you can change into your form, remain in the form for an hour, reverting to your humanoid form when it does. You drop to 0 hit points or you die.
Yeah.
You can revert to humanoid form early as a bonus action once you use this ability, so short rest to get it back.
Yeah.
In your hybrid form, you could still wear and use all your equipment as normal, which is nice. Your base walking speed goes to 40.
Which is nice.
You have proficiency in claws and bites, and you can deal a claw and a bite attack as either one as an action, I guess. For a D4 slashing damage for your claws and a D4 piercing damage for your bite. I guess the benefit of the slashing damage is it says it's considered a light weapon.
So you do it offhand.
So based on that, you could swing a weapon and use that as your bonus action attack for a D4. In addition, you have advantage on charisma intimidation checks and wisdom checks that use perception checks that use smell, disadvantage on intelligence checks and any other charisma checks. So you can turn into that form, or you can turn into your lion form, which is not as good. But yeah, wild shape feature. Unlike the feature, you retain your own hit points between both.
Yeah.
So I guess the best thing that you could do with it is try to pass yourself off as an animal.
Yeah.
More of a deceptionary stealth tactic than. Well, it says you take their. I guess you take their stats. So the best part is, I guess, if you were not a Dex class and you wanted a high stealth, that would be your best bet. Would be to turn into a cat.
Yeah.
And you'd have pack tactics.
I guess, and if you were a cleric that had no melee.
Yeah.
If you were a cleric that just focused on magic and you ran out of spell slots, then shapeshifting into a real lion would be solid way to make you proficient in melee. But your AC would be like a 12, so then you don't want to be in melee.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And lastly, okay. Did you have another point you wanted to make?
No, it's just like I love that it's a +2 to wisdom, but I can't think of a class that needs wisdom that I would want to be a werelion for.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a sort of function of wild shape.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, or you wanted to run with the lions as a ranger.
Yeah.
You have a better companion than your animal companion by being a lion at level 8.
Yeah.
And then the other class-based is a lycanthropic sorcerer's origin, which is not really it's not a tweak to the class. It's just another type of sorcerer.
Yeah, which is cool.
So you choose basically bear, big cat, rat, or wolf, and it gives you let's see. As an action, you can assume the form of an animalistic humanoid. You maintain this form for an hour. Once you choose this ability, you cannot choose a different one. You can use it short or long rest, and when you do, you get different benefits. So bear, you get a claw and a bite, advantage on perception checks. The cat, you get a dark vision, which is a nice way to get dark vision, only one.
If you're a sorcerer.
Stealth checks, again, claw attack. Rat, dark vision, you can squeeze through spaces that are designed for a smaller size category. You get a bite attack, and the wolf, get advantage made to track, and a bite attack, and most of them get advantage on some sort of perception-based check. At level 6, when you spend a sorcery point to increase you can spend a sorcery point to increase the damage of your natural weapons by a step. So that would go from like a D4 to a D6. And you can also choose to make them magic or silver.
Okay.
So that's a bonus. And it lasts until you change forms. If you have the ability to take on a beast or hybrid form from some other source, you can use this ability to change that as well. So if you were somehow a multi-classed sorcerer druid, you could gain those abilities in your wild shape form. Using this ability a second time allows you to change the special quality applied to your natural weapons. In addition, while in hybrid form, or you can communicate with member of the species as if you were using speak with animals.
Okay.
At 14, you can spend 3 sorcery points to basically make your chosen form better. From a black bear to a brown bear, you can choose a lion or a tiger, a giant rat or a war rat, or I'm sorry, you get a beast form, I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. So you can turn into a brown bear, a lion or a tiger, a rat or a giant rat, or a dire wolf. You can stay in this form a number of hours equal to half your sorcerer level, and at this point it's 7 hours. Fall unconscious, this is otherwise the same function as the druid wild shape feature. Sorcerer level, you fall unconscious, drop to 0 hit points, or die. It doesn't state that you it says it functions otherwise as the druid feature, but I guess that means that you don't have free hit points.
I guess not.
It's worded ambiguous enough, but you can use your functionality from earlier where you can add magic or silver to the damage type and increase the damage die by level. You can apply those to your beast form.
Right. That's cool.
And then at 18, when a beast attacks you, it has to make a wisdom saving throw against your sorcerer spell save DC. On a fail, it must choose a different target or it automatically misses. The successful save is immune to it. In addition, you can spend 4 sorcery points to cast Dominate Beast as a 4th level spell. For each additional sorcery point you spend, the spell's level increases by 1.
Yeah, but how many times at level 18 are you coming across beasts?
Not often.
Yeah. And there's also a lycanthropic damage resistance option at the top of Werelion, where it's basically like you can take, I think it was like resistance to bludgeoning. It's in that box.
Oh.
You get, while you're in your hybrid or lion form, you get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons that aren't silver, but you are vulnerable to damage from silver. So that's another class option you can get.
And lastly, there's, again, backgrounds here. I'm going to flip over these. A lot of these are very similar. As I mentioned, there's Child of the Divine, which is basically your acolyte type character. Again, they are all flavored a little different, and they do have traits, bonds, flaws, and ideals associated with this version of it. Free healing, again, very similar.
A language I've never heard of.
Again, these are going to be tied to the specifics. Temple Slave, which is different.
That is not the same.
You basically can get sympathy from other slaves. Sawali Traveler. This is basically like your Far Traveler type situation. And it's, again, this was before Far Traveler existed in the Sword Quest Adventures guide. You trade contract with a group or individual outside your tribe.
It sounds kind of gypsy-ish.
Yeah, and the
Kinda
picture
Romani.
is gypsy, yes.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then an option, this is a quartermaster for a soldier, rather than just a straight up soldier. So you have different options. Once per day, you can search your gear for any piece of adventuring gear, weapon, or tool worth 2 gold pieces or less. When you're in a settlement or dealing with a caravan or tribe, the value of the item increases to 5 gold. So you can basically get some free stuff.
Some stuff when you need it.
Soldier, this is a groom or a squire. I would recommend, if you were actually thinking about playing this and you have access to this, and you were planning on basically having that be a part of your background, to look at this. It's probably a good idea. Whenever you purchase or otherwise acquire any sort of animal, hawk, camel, mastiff, horse, that animal has maximum hit dice.
Ooh, that's nice.
Its intelligence increases by 1.
Cool.
And your DM can allow this feature to apply to other animals depending on your race. Some alternate creatures might be bats, boars, elks, flying snakes, octopi, panthers, ravens, giant frogs, giant lizards, wolves, spiders, and wolves. None should have a CR greater than 4. But you have
a quarter.
I'm sorry, a quarter. Yeah, I read the last part of it. But yeah, you have an eye for the best. You're a groom or a squire, so you keep an eye out and you kind of know what you're looking for. Pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
Here's a healer, soldier healer. Once per day, you may spend an hour searching the local terrain for natural remedies. After completing your search, you may restock your healer's kit with a number of uses equal to your proficiency bonus, or your proficiency modifier at no cost.
Nice.
In addition, you may craft antitoxin vials and potions of healing using your herbalist's kit in half of the normal time. Once every 5 days instead of every 10 days.
It would be solid for a healer thief rogue.
Yes. And it gives you proficiency in herbalism kit. So that's actually really cool. That's one of the best ones, and it's tied to a background. Yeah. Desert Runner. This kind of looks like your nomad from the previous one, or your outlander type style of things. You can survive on less water, and it's very similar. And that
seems to be that.
So that's it for Southland Heroes. So, what did you think overall with Southland Heroes versus Midgard Heroes?
I think I preferred Southland Heroes.
Okay.
Because of lizardfolk.
Fair enough.
But they're both have good utility. They're both good options. I mean, overall, I really like the races. I mean, if you know anything about me as a gamer, I like options. So having all these options makes me happy.
Nope, it doesn't.
When I'm sad.
It's all just a bold-faced lie.
What about you? What did you think?
I agree. I like the Trollkin a lot. I like the Dragonkin as well.
You can't see my eyes.
I do think the lizardfolk have the most utility,
Oh, yeah.
and I like the options for the aasimar.
That's right.
Having read these a little closer, the backgrounds here are a lot better, making the soldier background or the options for the soldier background a lot better. I mean, these are technically different backgrounds entirely. I like them better.
Yeah.
I would recommend using those over another soldier depending on the situation.
Fair.
Because it depends on, it's really how often are you going to encounter people that were in the same military company as you. It's dependent on your DM.
Yeah.
Sure. And depending on the world that you play in. However, I feel like it's more likely to use some of the abilities granted here than you would be able to pull rank on somebody.
Yeah.
And it looks like they also did Pathfinder game settings for the Southlands. So if you're curious more about the actual world that they've built around this, that would probably be where to go.
Koboldpress.com.
Yep. Would you pay $5 for this?
Yeah. I mean, if you had.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm saying, would you have?
Yeah. Solid. Like, it's. If I was running a game for a group of experienced gamers who. Yeah. Not even who. There's no who.
Would you?
I would pay $5 for this.
Would you pay $10 for both?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that are curious, again, you can get this on the Dungeon Master Guild, dmsguild.com. You can get these directly through Kobold Press, Drive-Thru-RPG. If you're one of the lucky folks that backed the Tome of Beasts guide that they created on Kickstarter, it ended a little earlier this year. You got these for free. If you backed it, they sent them to you for free. Check your email. You can go to the Kickstarter page and look for the updates. You can message them there if you somehow deleted the email or something, but you got access to actually both of these and the 3 adventure guides, the 3 adventures that they made. So just don't miss out on that, and don't go buy it again by accident.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, hopefully you like this. We'll have more stuff in the future.
Totally more.
I've gone and picked up a lot of the D&D Dungeon Masters Guild. I've picked up various modules, I've picked up various items, and a lot of the feats. So we may end up doing reviews on some of those, just to... Again, it's hard to do reviews on stuff where people can go and pay for them themselves.
Yeah.
And especially when the price is so low. Like, doing a review on a book, I'm okay with, telling you everything that's in it. Because that's an investment, $30, $50 on a book. You should know whether or not you should buy it.
Yeah.
The book could... When the feat option that you could download, it's pay what you want. Telling you too much about it could basically give you no reason to do it. Or if we talk too much about it, you could just listen to the video and figure it out. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on Tuesday. So we have a stream.
This is a stream Tuesday. It's Tuesday night stream.
Yeah.